Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with our weekly recap of all things Injustice. This is for the week of March 6th, 2025. The current character challenge is Rebirth Green Arrow. That's a 1-week repeat, as it's been for quite a while now. The required characters for that are Cyborg and Nightwing and Killer Frost, who are available at Bronze, and Challenge Gold, respectively, if you're looking at the lowest tier to get each of them. So this is one of the harder ones, right? Because you need a Challenge Gold to complete this challenge.
This would be a good week to have Killer Frost in one of the paid packs.
Yep.
But no. That's a spoiler. Sorry.
Yeah, his passive is Trick Arrows, which is Green Arrow fires a random Trick Arrow that triggers on impact when he tags in. When Green Arrow switches for another Rebirth character, he fires a random Trap Arrow that's triggered by certain enemy actions. If not triggered, Trap Arrow disappears after 5 seconds. It's got 1,300 attack, 1,350 health, was last available in February of 2024, so just about a year ago.
Right. He's got good high stats. Probably the most unique thing about him is that his combo ender has 5 hits. So if you're going to take advantage of this sort of special feature, use gears that have combo ender effects like Superpowered Pill, Rousable Scimitar, Gauntlets of Azrael. He potentially is very much like Arkham Knight, hitting above his weight class with basic attacks. So his swipe combo is the normal 12%, which is 3 hits, 4% each. His tap combo is 21% if you get the combo ender instead of the usual 9%. So you get 2-2-2, then 3-3-3-3-3.
Yeah.
So half the time without the combo ender, tap attack does 6%. Or hold on, does 6%, and half the time it does 21%.
Yep.
So it averages out to more than a swipe combo, and that becomes an even better proposition if you can get the combo ender more than half the time.
Mm-hmm.
His passive's got 2 parts: when he tags in and when a Rebirth teammate tags in. So Green Arrow, when he tags in, will fire 1 out of 3 Trick Arrows. So Poison is the Green Arrow, Explosive Knockdown is a Red Arrow, and that's the only one that will break a stun, and Power Drain, which is a Blue Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 1 out of 3 on Green Arrow tagging out for a Rebirth teammate, which is Poison, which is a Green Arrow, but it only triggers on a block. So Green Arrow just gets it. If it's a teammate, the opponent has to do something.
Yeah.
The Red Arrow is Explosive Knockdown, but it triggers with damage if the opponent tags out. And Power Drain Blue Arrow triggers on the opponent attempting a special for the cost of the special, and they can't get it back with Tantu, which is fun. It doesn't seem to happen enough, but I'm always very pleased when it happens.
Yeah, the real problem is that it's only 5 seconds. I think these are not significant enough effects that you would need to have them expire at all.
Yeah.
But you definitely should give it, 10, 15 seconds if you're going to make it expire.
Right. So...
We're lasting until tag out, for everything except for the explosive arrow, I guess.
Yeah. To really take advantage of this passive, right, you need to tag in and tag out a lot. So besides the obvious choice of having Rebirth teammates, Hawkgirl Prime is really good for decreasing the time between tagouts. She's just good for all multiplayer teams with Tantu Totem, and here she gives that added bonus of enhancing his passive. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, because of the existence of Tantu Totem, the most effective strategy in general is usually having the star character on team be a specialist and mow down the other team, and if you're doing it right, not a lot of opportunities for taking out. And the value of a basic damage dealer where Green Arrow would potentially shine in this world that has Tantu Totem, no matter how many combo ender hits they have, that value of a basic damage dealer is reduced on any roster that has Tantu Totem. So if you're using Rebirth Green Arrow as your specialist, there's a few things to keep in mind. His special 2 will not knock out an opponent except on last hit. You're seeing sometimes he's knocking them out before in our fight because he's got Enchantress Companion gear, and it's the skulls that are knocking them out, not his actual hit.
Yeah.
And this inability to knock out except on last hit makes him weaker against anybody with revives, and it makes him vulnerable against Rebirth Raven, who can steal his power on tag-in. And more broadly, it makes him vulnerable against anybody who has a tag-in effect. Mm-hmm. And so he's very weak, or it's much harder to play him against a full Blackest Night Hawkgirl team that has at least 3 revives. But if we're talking specifically against Rebirth Raven, the normal strategy to counteract her passive where she steals your power is to be in the middle of your special 2 when she tags in. And you can't do that, right? Because you've got to be finished. Regular Raven is also hard because she's got the health swap that is guaranteed to trigger when you're playing Green Arrow. Since only the last hit of his special 2 can knock an opponent, she is reduced to 1 health before his special 2 finishes, triggers the health swap, and unlike other special 2 specialists who are able to knock an opponent more than just the last hit of their special 2, Green Arrow's special 2 triggers health swap, but only does that once. Right? So it leaves you with low health, vulnerable to any contact, like a whiff or a sneeze will blow you over, knock you out. And it leaves Raven with her second health swap intact, and that's hanging over the rest of your team's head.
Yeah.
So any other character who can knock out with any hit from their special 2 at least has a chance to trigger it both times against Raven Prime, so that whoever you're tagging in when you need to recharge your special specialist is safe from the health swap. Not Rebirth Green Arrow. And what makes him a little bit worse, too, as your special specialist, his special 1 is also weaker because of the status effect, which is draining power. So his special 1 is not a good fallback option if the opponent is low in health. Not only is it 1 hit, which means you can't use it to protect yourself against the opponent tagging in, but it is so weak as to make it very difficult to knock out the opponent. So that's, say, again, Raven Prime. If her health is low, and instead of doing a special 2, you do a special 1, it's weak enough, you're still probably going to trigger a passive. So his trick arrows when his teammate Rebirth Raven tags in seems to negate the stun effects that she might generate from the Cloak of Destiny. And that's normally not a problem, but now that I've seen how effective it is to stack Scythe and Cloak on a character, especially Rebirth Raven, I would almost rather that he didn't have a passive that affected other teammates. I'd be happy without that second part of his passive. We've used Rebirth Green Arrow before a lot, and the main thing we've realized is how important the third gear is. So we've previously used power generation for his third gear after Tanti Totem Master's Death Cart, but now it should be obvious we strongly prefer Enchantress Companion Gear. The skulls are a perfect solution for any character whose special 2 has that same problem of only being able to knock out on the last hit. And there should be at least one fight in the sequence that you're watching where the opponent's Rebirth Raven tags in after Rebirth Green Arrow completes his special 2, steals all of his power, and she can't use it because the skulls disable her from using a special, and then we can tag in Rebirth Raven really quickly because of Hawk Girl, and we steal the opponent's Rebirth Raven's power. And then there's a few other examples where an opponent comes in with power, even if it's not Rebirth Raven, and we're doing fine because we can just knock them out. And actually, the added bonus is, even if they have LexCorp Companion Gear 2 pieces to reverse power drain, Rebirth Raven is still benefiting from the skulls. She steals the power. They keep their power and increase it. We get some power, and we usually have enough power to knock them out, so we're not worried. So it's pretty good synergy on this team.
For sure. We are 45 weeks since the end of our sort of known challenge cycle. It feels like we're back on track for that challenge cycle, but we're still not exactly sure how things are continuing to go in the future, right? So next week, who are we expecting to see?
Teen Titans Raven.
There we go. And we're in a weird spot. It looks like we're going to finish out the cycle the way it's expected, and then we're going to have to see what happens after sort of the last week of that, if it wraps around, if they include some more missing challenge characters, or what's going on. So we'll just have to keep an eye out.
So there's 9 more characters in the old challenge cycle. It should end on the 8th of May if they still don't bring back any of the missing challenge characters.
And then 15th of May is when we see what happens next.
If it's Gaslight Batman or it's somebody else.
Yeah.
Right.
This week's multiplayer reward is Cassandra Cain Batgirl. Her passive is Assassin's Ambush, which is on tag and Cassandra Cain attacks, causing opponent to lose 25% of current health. 1,150 attack, 950 health. Last available on the 1st of August of last year. We expect next week to be the Soul Taker Sword, because there's nothing missing, and there hasn't been anything missing from the multiplayer reward cycle. So that's been going on for a long time.
Right. So a couple of things jump out at me is that she's got lower stats. Along with Ares, she was one of the first multiplayer character rewards, so that's not a surprise. There's been significant power creep. They were actually pretty good, her stats, when she was first released. The second interesting thing to note is that her passive is just the one ability, unlike a lot of the newer multiplayer character rewards that have multiple abilities in their passives. And it's... 25%, decent amount of health reduction, but the keyword
it would
is
be really
current.
good if it was max instead of current, right? Because if you could just swap out, swap in, swap out, swap in, and get guaranteed damage, that would be great.
Yeah, what it means is it's impossible to knock out somebody with her passive, unlike Teen Titan Raven's passive that can knock out somebody after her special completes and has a chance to steal 25% of max health.
Yeah, it would be a bit of a tedious way to play, but if it was max health, you could really just gear her and whoever you're swapping her out for both as tanks and just hold the block button the whole time, right?
Yeah.
But
interesting.
As is, it's not very good.
Fun can be leaning into the tag-in damage, and you give her Claw of Horus for another 10%. And the 10% I think is max damage for Claw of Horus.
Yeah.
She is, what I like about her, she's fast. I think she's one of the fastest Batgirls with her basics. She's got the special one like all the Batgirls, so she's a good candidate for Cloak of Destiny or Necron Scythe. Unfortunately, her passive breaks the tag-in stun from the Cloak of Destiny, which means the stun ability of the Cloak is wasted on her. If you've got a team where someone else could also benefit from the Cloak, use it on them instead and give Batgirl Necron Scythe. That's way more useful for her. It doesn't waste that ability of the Cloak of Destiny. Mm-hmm. Because she has such a powerful special one when geared like this, and her passive reduces opponent's health down to 75% of the original amount, she doesn't need more than Tanty Totem to be the specialist. Mm-hmm. So this, like with a lot of Batgirls, this allows a secondary attacker to use Master's Death Cart. And if you add Enchantress Companion Gear with Claw of Horus, you make that secondary specialist super effective at stripping gears off the opponent. And if you pick someone who has Bleed on Special 1, they also become super effective at bleeding out the opponent by having multiple Special 1 effects with either just 1 bar on second tag in because of Master's Death Cart, or with 2 bars using Enchantress. Mm-hmm. So she's an interesting... Cassandra Cain, I think, is still interesting, still useful, even though she is an older character with low stats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go. Moving on to the store, we have the Teen Titans Raven pack for $24.99 Canadian, giving prices in Canadian because it's the only currency that matters.
Especially now.
Yeah. That is a clue to next week. It does not come with credits, so like the normal 100,000 power credits when it's this price, so it's like double overpriced. Doesn't unlock a copy in your store. We expect to see Teen Titans Raven as our next week's challenge, so there's really no reason to pay money for this.
Right, and we expect it both from the pack, but also earlier you're saying too from the
cycle,
the old cycle.
So yeah, you can earn it in a way that does unlock it in your store for just your time instead of your money.
Right.
We also have the Ultimate Bundle Villains and Monsters. That's in its second week, as well as the Tag Team Pack for $24.99. That comes with the Luchador Bane, Hawk Girl, and New 52 Nightwing. And notably, we've got a challenge character and a missing challenge character, right?
So Bane is a challenge one. Yeah. Hawk Girl's a missing challenge one. Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. It in one sense it increases its value because it's harder to get otherwise. But in another sense, you won't be able to get more copies of it ever, except for by buying it.
So I will say though, out of all the packs that come close to being really worth it, I think this is like Hawk Girl is an S tier character. Mm-hmm. Her passive, even if
you only have her at tier 1,
her passive makes her such a useful, powerful part of a team. This comes the closest to something I would spend money on if we didn't already have Hawk Girl in
That's fair. Yeah, just for one
collection.
copy.
Yeah.
Yep. Phantom Zone is finished. It's in its second week of being off, so we expect it to be back starting next week, and then
back for another 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks, yeah. Fight 62 is still broken. Last weekend's breakthrough for golds was Sinestro, Green Arrow, and Scorpion.
Wait,
or is that not updated?
That might not be updated. Let's just skip that because we got all the recap.
Yeah, so it's okay.
Yeah, but
because as you mentioned, as far as current glitches go, we go into detail every time something significant changes, which hasn't happened for quite a while. Yeah. But we do a more detailed review on the first week of every month, which is today. So you can always see a video tutorial for every glitch in full detail with the instructions on how to do it in our playlist Current Working Glitches. But we will sort of have some extra information, some crawlery, some stuff that is not in the original video that might be helpful to either keep in mind or extra tips and tricks while you're doing these glitches.
Yeah.
So Starting off with significant not working glitches, stuff that you could do at one point that you might be looking for how to do, but it's harder to look up in negative. There's no glitch for power credits that we're willing to endorse, at least. In Season 6, Episode 9 of our P&Q and CNAT, we talked about a method that required 2 devices being logged into one account simultaneously. Anything that requires either 2 accounts on one device or 1 account on 2 devices, we do not recommend because there is a risk of bad stuff happening to your account. Being banned, data getting corrupted. Yeah. Just bad stuff that is not worth the risk of whatever you get from it. So the glitch for getting past multiplayer season rewards repeatedly is not working. The glitch for getting early multiplayer season rewards is not working. There is sort of a bad version of that can happen that sort of screws up your ability to get rewards.
If we differentiate between glitches, which is something you can exploit, and bugs, which is something that's a problem.
Yeah, there's a bug.
Yeah.
There is no glitch to get through Phantom Zone quickly, but you can do it really, really fast to the point that you almost don't need a glitch, right?
We can do it real fast. If you're interested, we've got a playlist of just speed runs through Phantom Zone.
The glitch that used to let you get the free energy without watching the video is not working. That's separate from time shifting for free energy, but that's like a little bit more sort of effort to do. Now, moving on to the working glitches.
Right, so when the Phantom Zone is around, the glitch to let you play repeatedly has been working pretty well up until now. The challenge reset method that requires a Google Play Cloud save is working, confirmed on the current Rebirth Green Arrow challenge. So this is where people will ask us about 2 very common problems. 1 is that the cloud doesn't appear. 2 is that progress remains. So the cloud appears, but the challenge doesn't reset.
Yeah.
So if the cloud doesn't appear, you are disconnecting too early. You need to be connected long enough so that your Google Play Cloud save gets put onto your device. And if the cloud just indicates that has been transferred to your device. So you need to disconnect a little bit later. And if the progress remains, that's the opposite problem. So the cloud appears, and then when you get through it all, you've still got all your challenge progress. That means you disconnected too late. So you need to find that sweet spot where the cloud appears, but the progress is gone.
Yeah.
And you can adjust based on whether you see the cloud and whether you actually have progress or not. It's working fine.
It's just something that you get better at with practice. Yeah.
The thing to keep in mind, though, when the Phantom Zone comes back next week, is Challenge Reset can remove Phantom Zone progress and vice versa, because they are basically the same glitch that you're exploiting. So Phantom Zone tends to be more work and harder to do than the challenge. So just keep that in mind. Reset it when you want to reset both of them. Don't think that you're just going to reset one, because it will reset both. They are the exact same glitch.
And we've got a comment in the description from Tanmay Kakde. If you're requiring the re-download of a bunch of app data every time you perform the glitch, and this is just a way that you can move the files around instead of needing to re-download.
Yeah. The breakthrough glitch let you play repeatedly still working. The airplane mode refund glitch is still working. It's good for both packs with random drops, also known as loot boxes and last laugh tickets. We should point out that it does not work in the Phantom Zone for us when it's around for us, because it requires an online connection. So that means you cannot use it for paid packs, because when you do paid packs, you have to be connected to the internet. We also strongly recommend against doing a variation of this where you switch between accounts instead of clearing app data.
Yeah, as we mentioned before, just a risk of app bleeding.
Yeah, it's faster, but it's dangerous. And time shifting still works in Android for unlimited survivor play and energy recharges. Again, remember, return your countdown clock back to normal before you finish, because if you don't, that is probably one of the most common reasons why events don't show up when they're supposed to. And when I say events, I mean Phantom Zone, the challenge, all that stuff.
Yeah, potentially timed packs, just anything that has to do with the server communicating with you to give you stuff. Last but not least, in between working and not working glitches, we have the promotion glitch.
I will say it's last and probably least.
Okay, yeah. Where you can promote characters that are still locked with money. It hasn't had the right conditions for years, but it has never failed us, right? So we don't know if it is still a glitch that exists in the game, and we keep it in here, 1, on a technicality mostly, but 2, because if it ever does come around, it's one of those things that knowing that it exists and ideally already knowing how to do it is going to be your best chance at actually taking advantage of it, because it's likely, if their conditions exist, that they're going to exist very briefly. Right. So if you care about it, it's better to be ready for it.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's it for this week. This is where we like to give a big thank you to our patrons on Patreon. That is Michael Devries, Irvin Ruiz, Hoshi127, and Nora Klimek, who are supporting us on the credited level.
There we go. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks so much to all of you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Komoda.